All right, here we are. After 14 deep dives into the world of radio frequency interference, we finally reached the capstone, the final piece of the puzzle. Today, we're shifting gears. We're moving from the tactical, the hands-on stuff, to the strategic, and we're going to learn how to truly master RFI management. That's right, this is it, part 15 of 15. We've covered the tools, we've gone through the techniques, and now it's time to put it all together. We're moving beyond just finding a signal and squashing it. We're talking about building a robust, repeatable, and resilient management program. So let's get into it. You know, you can have the fanciest, most advanced spectrum analyzer in the world, but without a solid strategy, you're really just playing whack-a-mole with problems as they pop up. Truly effective RFI management, it's a system, and it's a system built on 3 core pillars: your people, your processes, and your plans. And it all starts with the human element, doesn't it? The most critical component of any RFI program isn't the hardware, it's the skilled operators who actually know how to use it. They are your first, and honestly, your best line of defense. So this is a question that every single manager needs to be asking. Having the right equipment, that's one thing. But having a team that is confident, that's competent, and that is always learning, that's what turns a big investment in gear into a real, actual capability. And when we talk about skills, we're talking about so much more than just turning knobs. It's about mastering the equipment, your analyzers, your SDRs, your antennas. It's about understanding advanced measurement techniques, prioritizing RF safety, which is non-negotiable, and, of course, the often overlooked but absolutely crucial practice of systematic documentation. Each one of these needs dedicated training. And this quote right here, it hits the nail on the head. You just can't learn how to hunt for RFI from a textbook. It doesn't work that way. Getting out in the field, getting your hands dirty, that's where the real learning happens. That's how you build the muscle memory and the quick problem-solving skills you need when a real interference event kicks off.
Okay, so you've got skilled people. That's pillar number 1. Now, for the second pillar, how do you make sure they perform consistently and effectively every single time? Well, you give them a playbook. You do it by building standardized processes.
And that brings us to the Standard Operating Procedure, or SOP. Think of it as a way to capture excellence. You take all the best practices, all the little tricks from your most experienced technicians, and you turn them into a repeatable process that anyone on the team can follow. It's all about ensuring a consistent, high-quality response every time. So building these things is a system in itself. You map out your search patterns, create templates for documentation, and formalize all your equipment checks. Now, what I really love is the idea of creating decision trees. If the interference looks like this, do that. If it's continuous, follow these steps. This removes the guesswork. It offloads all of that mental stress during a high-pressure event, and it lets your team focus on solving the problem, not figuring out what to do next. All right, now for our third and final pillar. You've got great people, you've got solid processes, so what's next? You plan for failure. Yeah, you heard me. Because in the world of RF, interference is inevitable. A truly strategic program isn't just about finding interference. It's about making sure your critical communications can survive it. And an incredibly powerful tool for this is the PACE methodology. PACE stands for primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. It's a simple but really effective way to build resilience into your communications plan just by thinking in layers. Let's make this real. Imagine you're running comms for a big public event. Your primary plan is your main radio system. Everything's fine. Then RFI suddenly takes it down. No sweat. You switch to your alternate plan, a pre-assigned secondary channel. What if that whole system gets jammed? You move to contingency, a bunch of simple VHF radios you had ready to go. And if all else fails, your emergency plan might be using runners to deliver only the most critical messages. This layered approach, that's the key to resilience. So as we bring this whole series to a close, let's just tie it all together. We've gone from the fundamentals of RF theory to getting our hands on advanced tools, and now we've taken it all the way up to the strategic level of management. And it all comes down to this one key idea: people, process, and plan. A well-trained team executing robust, repeatable procedures and backed by a resilient communications plan that expects things to go wrong. That is how you move from simply reacting to interference to truly mastering your RF environment. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Over these 15 parts, you've learned about the tools, you've learned the techniques, you've seen what's possible. The real question now is, what are you going to do with that knowledge? Are you ready to take that next step and become the RFI strategist your organization needs? Thank you so much for joining me on this journey.